Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the February 22nd meeting of the Los Gatos Town Council, Joint Council, Parking Authority, and Redevelopment Agency meeting. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Stephen Leonardis.
Here.
Councilmember Barbara Spector.
Here.
Councilwoman Diane McNutt.
Here.
Vice Mayor Steve Rice.
Here.
Mayor and Chair Joe Przinski.
Here. First of all, welcome. Really glad to see so many here tonight. And we have a special opportunity to honor some members of our community who are young leaders. The Fisher Middle School Kiwanis Builders Club is here tonight. The board members who will be leading the pledge tonight are Sabrina Jarrett and Maite Corral. Sabrina is the president and Maite is the vice president. In 2010, in conjunction with the Kiwanis of Los Gatos, Fisher Middle School launched the Builders Club. It's a student-led community service organization whose core values are character building, leadership, inclusiveness, and caring. Through Builders Club, students become leaders at school, in their community, and in the world. The club was also launched to support Fisher's Project Cornerstone effort, and this was to work to achieve asset number 9, service to others. The club just finished a major project, Teens for Jeans. They collected close to 400 pairs of jeans to donate to homeless teens. There are approximately 40 active members. Also, I'd like to introduce to you tonight the 2 club advisors, Lisa Frazier, the principal at Fisher Middle, who is here tonight, and Claire Vickers, who's the club advisor at Fisher. Also tonight, I'd like to introduce a gentleman who's in the audience, who's the Los Gatos Kiwanis president, Bart Renaud. Bart. Bart is not a member of the youth leaders. So, without further ado, can I ask President Jarrett and Vice President Corral to come up to the podium? Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other people who are in the audience wearing those blue shirts are members of the club. Would you all please raise your hands so we can see where you are? Okay. Again, this is the club from Fisher Middle that is sponsored by the Kiwanis, and the president and vice president will now lead us in the pledge.
Thank you. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's hear it for Our Lady.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was great. All right, the next item on our agenda is our recognition. And I would like to introduce one person in the audience tonight, a special guest. He's Jeremy Dennis. He's the district director for Assemblyman Rich Gordon, our new assembly representative for District 21. Jeremy, would you please raise your hand back there? Jeremy Dennis. Thanks for coming with us tonight, okay? And please give our best to your boss, Rich Gordon. We know he's going to represent us very well in Sacramento. Now, the next item on the agenda are commendations for a number of individuals who've served our community. I'd like to ask all the individuals in this audience who are retiring members of boards and commissions to step forward. All right. It's my great privilege tonight to bid farewell to a number of commissioners and board members who have served this community so well over quite a large number of years. There are 11 commissions and 79 people who fill those seats. The commissioners have a critical role in the town of Los Gatos as they provide valuable citizen input into the council's decision-making process, and they are respected and appreciated community leaders. These people who are in front of us tonight represent the best in volunteerism in our community. I'm going to introduce them each separately. I'm going to ask them to come forward and accept the commendation from the town. But I'm going to read the first one as the sample so you know what we're actually saying to these individuals. This is for Jade Bradbury. Whereas Jade Bradbury served the town of Los Gatos as a member of the town's Arts and Culture Commission from July 2004 to January 2011, and whereas during this period she unselfishly contributed her time, energies, and capabilities to the Arts and Culture Commission, and whereas Ms. Bradbury served as Vice Chair of the Arts and Culture Commission, and whereas Ms. Bradbury also served on the Arts in the Council Chambers Committee, the Committee Grants and Community Grants Committee, and Music in the Park during her tenure on the Arts and Culture Commission. And whereas the Town Council feels that such outstanding public service deserves special recognition. Now therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Los Gatos does hereby render with special appreciation and commendation to Jade Bradbury for dedicated public service to the Town of Los Gatos and its residents. Jade is here to receive her commendation, and I'm going to call each in turn. And as we call each, please give them your appreciation as well. Jade? Penelope O'Neill. Is Penelope here? No. Jane Ogle? Jane is on the General Plan Committee. I don't believe John Almish is here. John, oh, good to see you. John is on Historic Preservation. Dale Hill from our Library Board. Jim Handy from Parks Commission. Richard Conrad, also from Parks. Pam Allison. Pam Allison from Rent Advisory. Jerry Mirasu from Rent Advisory. William Krause from Rent Advisory. Susan Fish, is Susan here? Richard Anderson. Richard Anderson from Transportation and Parking. Okay. And Dr. Ed Levesque from Transportation and Parking. Ladies and gentlemen, these people have put in so many years of volunteer service to this community and contributed so much. They deserve our heartfelt praise and thanks for everything they've done. I know most of them personally, some better than others, but there's no question that when we've needed input from members of our community, this group of individuals have stepped forward and contributed mightily to the well-being of this town. So I'd ask one more time to thank them from the community for the service that they've offered. Well deserved. Thank you, everyone. Ladies, I wonder if we could stay just for the last part of this presentation, and then we will have an opportunity to go grab some cookies and relax before we go to what I'm sure most people in the audience are here eagerly awaiting, which is the midterm budget report. It's gratifying to see so many members of our community here tonight as we celebrate our town, and I have the opportunity to present the State of the Town message for this year. The topic for this year is building community in difficult economic times. As your mayor, and on behalf of the Town Council, I would like to reflect on our accomplishments over the past year and discuss the community's role in the future. But first, I want to thank my fellow council members for their dedication to the town and their willingness to work together for the well-being of all of our residents and business people. In mid-January, the Town Council held its annual retreat, along with our management staff, to review the progress we've made and to project those things we need to do to fulfill our goals in the future. The state of the town is a reflection of that discussion. Now in the fourth year of the Great Recession, we continue to face a very real challenge in providing full community services with ever-diminishing economic resources. Yet, by prudent and strategic planning, we have navigated through this fiscally challenging time and preserved core service levels for the community. Through it all, life has remained good in Los Gatos, and we continue to be one of the most desirable places to live in the valley. Our sense of community is strong, our quality of life is vibrant, and our economy is growing, and together we can celebrate the successes of the town we call home. Our perseverance and patience have placed us in a position to forge ahead in 2011 to pursue vital community priorities. Now, I want to talk through a number of different items that deal with the issue of community building. The first is that of fiscal stability. The town's fiscal health is stable, with key revenues such as sales tax and property tax trending ahead of estimates in this fiscal year. Our reserves continue strong and intact, given that we have not had to draw them down to cover shortfalls. Later in tonight's meeting, the mid-year budget review will detail the strength of our current financial situation as a community. Our economic base continues strong this year as a result of community promotion and business attraction, in spite of ongoing economic difficulties. To maintain our ongoing fiscal stability, strategic efforts have been made in the area of staffing and salary reductions through vacancy eliminations, staff furloughs, and reductions in overtime. Discussions are underway with employee bargaining units regarding the benefit of cost containment and two-tier pension system proposals. Alternative service delivery models have been employed to reduce operating expenses and have been implemented in such partnerships with the Los Gatos Saratoga Recreation Department to deliver senior services. Our extraordinary town management and staff in every department have stepped up to recognize and accommodate our financial needs, working diligently to deliver all services in spite of reduced personnel and funding. On behalf of the council, I want to extend our thanks to our staff partners for a job very well done. And in the most trying circumstances, you have helped us face a world that has been very, very trying. Now, regarding our infrastructure improvements, the groundbreaking for the new library, of course, occurred in June of 2010, and construction is on time and on budget at present. A topping out ceremony marking the placement of the last steel beam occurred in December of 2010. Projected grand opening of this beautiful facility will be the winter of 2012. The Friends of the Library fundraising campaign is having success in securing major commitments towards furniture, fixtures, and equipment. It's kind of odd, but this week's closing of Borders Books, the one bookstore remaining in town, makes our new library all the more significant to our community, particularly to our young people. The new Los Gatos Creekside Sport Park master plan, the community input to same, is concluding shortly. At the next public input session on February 28th, 2 design options will be presented that are reflective of the previous discussions held with interested members of this community. The progress on this project is the direct result of the town's wise sale to the County of Santa Clara of town land in Vasona, leading to a $6 million fund to allow us to develop this sports park. The town is currently evaluating the condition of streets and sidewalks in the Almond Grove. We're trying to formulate a strategy so this infrastructure may be improved in the near future. This is a neighborhood that is in significant need of rehabilitation of its streets and sidewalks without a question. We've also concluded several construction projects using funds that were grants and not out of the town coffers. Grants such as ARA or redevelopment have allowed us to re-signalize University and Blossom Hill, create the Oak Meadow Park ADA pathway, of the Roberts Road Bridge replacement, our police operations building, our new library, and expansion of parking lot number 6 behind Mountain Charlie's, which added 40 new parking spaces to the downtown. We're also moving forward with several projects this year using grant funds through Caltrans. We are planning in the design of the Blossom Hill Safe Routes to School program, University Avenue and Highway 9 intersection improvements, greatly needed, Wedgewood Road Safe Routes to School, and University Avenue resurfacing. As far as our civic engagement is concerned, as a council, we strive to encourage participation and civic engagement to raise awareness of local needs and issues. We continue to see the benefits of making decisions through the collective hands of our community. Our desire for connectivity extends to community gatherings like our 4th of July celebration, Farmers Market, Jazz in the Plaza, Music in the Park, Fiesta de Art, Los Gatos Shakespeare Festival, Screen on the Green. All these events bring us closer together as a community. Music in the Park is now coordinated by Los Gatos Art and Music under a new partnership with this nonprofit agency. Arts and Culture Commission is focusing on the implementation of a new arts plan that was recently approved by council. We grow future leaders in Los Gatos by our Leadership Los Gatos program, the joint town and chamber effort. Many of this program's graduates have gone on to committees and commissions, and as a matter of fact, one graduate sits on the dais with me as a member of the Leadership Los Gatos program. Mr. Leonardis came to us from that program and serves in the behest of that organization. We are also committed to leadership qualities in our youth. We see it in wonderful groups like the individuals in front of us today, and also our Youth Commission, now in its 7th year. It's been successful in incorporating community values in their work with youth in our town and advising the council and the police department as regards their concerns. In particular, last year, our Youth Commission was recognized at the League of California Cities annual convention in San Diego for its innovative youth-friendly business program. Finally, if you've noticed in the last few days the magical sprouting of daffodils throughout the town, it's the work of the Los Gatos Community Foundation's Beautification Committee that you are witnessing. We are also using technology to build community. We continue to enhance our town's website. The homepage is now updated frequently with current events and announcements and a special new library project feature that is available to us. Many permit and payment options are available online to streamline the application process of our Community Development Department. With online streaming, the Council and Planning Commission meetings, live or archived, can be viewed by all members of the community with just one click of the mouse. The Town Council and Planning Commission meetings, telecast live on KCAT 15, are mounting a serious challenge to the usual Monday and Wednesday night programming on those other channels. With our expanded government lineup, reality TV can't get much better than this. So now I'd like to focus more on the future. Our success is not by accident. It's because of engaged individuals and groups who understand that front porches are crime prevention venues. Town beautification begins at the curb of our homes and businesses, and gatherings are celebrations of community. As we look ahead, we are reminded of the importance of maintaining our high level of civic engagement and awareness to hold on to what makes us uniquely Los Gatos, a community that values small town service and character, good financial stewardship, and a vision for the future. Over the next year, we will focus our attention on several important issues that require shared commitment to move us forward. First, North 40 and Los Gatos Boulevard and the development potential there. With the demise of many auto dealerships on Los Gatos Boulevard and the current active interest in development of the North 40, the opportunities provided us for enhanced community development are immense. However, the consequences of poor planning will have long-range impacts on our community character. As a result, the town has begun significant work with the North 40 developer to prepare for potential development in this last significant parcel of open land within our town boundaries. A market analysis will identify the North 40 and Los Gatos Boulevard characteristics to determine what services and goods commercial development requires that will support the town without harming the downtown business district. Please pay close attention to this development. It's very important that we as a community participate in all activities to help shape what's going to occur in the future in the North 40 and in Los Gatos Boulevard. The next item we're concerned about is traffic safety. We are all aware of the increase in traffic volumes, primarily the result of a recovering job market in the valley. The speed of traffic seems to many to be increasing exponentially, putting all of us at risk, particularly those who walk or bike to work and school. In response to the issue, the town will enhance the development of what is called Complete Streets. This is a program that plans for and executes a street improvement system that provides for a balanced transportation network. Our user-friendly environment for pedestrians and bicyclists will be expanded throughout the town as a result. Traffic patterns will be monitored and evaluated to inform strategies to improve traffic safety, reduce speeds, and diminish volumes of vehicles. The goal is to identify Los Gatos by both our community members and our visitors as an environment that expects compliance with speed limits and traffic rules and enforces both. And that is a challenge for all of us, to pay attention to what will make our streets safer. The next issue is Los Gatos Prepared. As part of our ongoing Los Gatos Prepared program, I am proposing a new facet of emergency preparedness. It's called Safe at Home. The Giants are the inspiration for this particular program. Community preparedness is not a one-time effort. It is ongoing, and it's an awareness that we all need to create a safer, self-sufficient Los Gatos. All we have to do is watch the television and see what happened in Christchurch, New Zealand, where basically the community has been destroyed. and it's reminiscent of our own experience in 1989 with the Loma Prieta. But it's a wake-up call again to what can happen. Since Loma Prieta, I think we've become complacent, and as a result, I doubt if we are all as prepared as we need be. And so this year, Safe at Home, as part of the Los Gatos Prepared program, is intended to engage all the community in this effort. This year, our goal is that every resident and business person in Los Gatos has the awareness, skills, and resources necessary to be self-sufficient during the first 72 hours of a major disaster. Through our collective voices, we will reach the entire community with the message of community preparedness. We must talk to our friends, family, and neighbors about the potential for disaster in Los Gatos and the greater region and encourage community emergency preparedness training. The Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT members, and emergency management staff have worked to promote the availability of emergency preparedness to the community by their training efforts. To date, approximately 370 residents have been specifically trained to assist their neighbors in case of a disaster. The Safe at Home program will be an adjunct to Los Gatos Prepared, focusing on each individual family's disaster preparedness in a concrete way. Each household will be asked this year to audit its specific emergency supplies and augment as necessary to fulfill the standard 72-hour self-sufficiency. This concept will be applied to our business community as well. All identified CERT neighborhoods, 14 in total, will be brought up to full preparation and coordination among neighbors during this year. It's important that we take this very seriously. It's important that we commit ourselves to accomplishing this task. Finally, to say some things about the general plan implementation. The Town Council adopted the completed 2020 general plan in November of last year, a blueprint for our next decade as a community. Our ability to preserve a small town character of Los Gatos and protect it from increasing developmental pressures is driven by our general plan and documents like the Hillside Specific Plan and the Residential and Commercial Design Guidelines. We began the update process almost 2 years ago, involving the review, identification, and prioritization of current and future community needs. We particularly emphasized our youth, seniors, the environment, and recreation for special study. This process demanded the General Plan Advisory Committee conduct a comprehensive review of the town's general plan. This committee was comprised of a wide cross-section of community members, council members, planning commissioners, and staff. The general plan was an update and an opportunity. An update of our current general plan and an opportunity for the community to collectively co-create the future character of the town while preserving the best of the past and present. The 2020 general plan is a testament to the diligence and dedication of all who participated in its creation. Now begins a process to implement goals and objectives outlined in this new general plan. This would be a major component of our work plan for the next 2 years. In closing, the state of our town is strong, vibrant, and successful. In 2011, our commitment is to stay focused on the fundamentals that will ensure our success is sustained for the long term. Each year, Los Gatos grows stronger and smarter. We continue to be successful because we celebrate that which we love, our community. We celebrate this civic spirit through hundreds of large and not so large actions we take every day: attending town meetings, opening up a small local business, registering to vote and voting, planting bulbs to beautify downtown, or just saying hello to a neighbor. This is what makes us uniquely Los Gatos, the values of our becoming involved and connected with each other. There is no limit to what we can accomplish together. With this in mind, I hereby wish to issue a call to service to all members of our community as we proceed into the future. Commit to one thing that will benefit our town. Please recommit tonight to those things that you volunteer for already, or choose some issue that resonates with you and resolve to become involved in that issue. The Town Council stands ready to facilitate this process of engagement. Time and again, residents and business persons of Los Gatos have provided leadership, volunteerism, vision, resources, and commitment to improving our town. We are successful because we have great partnerships, a strong sense of community, and a spirit of cooperation and shared responsibilities. It is my honor to serve as your mayor in 2011 and to lead the team of council to greater citizen participation and commitment second to none. I look forward to continuing this noble work with my fellow council members, our town management and staff, and all members of our community. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for sharing this with us. And thank God we're together as a community. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to take a short break. Now, I invite everyone who's here who wishes to stick around and listen to our mid-year budget report. It will be extremely interesting, I have no doubt. But if for some reason you decide that you prefer not, we have some refreshments in the foyer. And again, we want to thank all of you for being with us tonight. And if I don't see you back here in 5 minutes, then I'm assuming that you're going to go out and catch the reruns on television. So thank you very much, okay? And apparently there's a picture opportunity here. So thank you again for coming, and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Are we all ready? Okay. The next item of business is our closed session report. Madam Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The council met in closed session as stated on the agenda and took no action this evening.
Thank you very much. And now it's time for council and manager reports. Is there any matter that the council wishes to speak to? Councilwoman McNutt.
Thank you, Mayor. Last Friday, the mayor and I and several staff members attended the Joint Venture 2011 State of the Valley Conference with 1,000 other of our close friends. And there was good news and not so good news reported out at that event. The good news is that the economy appears to be showing very slow but optimistic signs of recovery, as evidenced by employment gains, by new businesses starting in the valley, by venture capital investment. The big concern that was surfaced at this conference was the crisis facing local government in budgeting. So very appropriate to hear the solution that we've come up with tonight for all of local government, correct? Yes.
That's right.
The consensus was there was no easy solution, but it was really interesting for me to hear, it was an audience that was primarily corporate people, recognizing in kind of a more extensive way than I've ever noticed before, the value that local government brings to the business community and to the community at large, not just in terms of infrastructure, but in terms of quality of life that's so important for recruiting and retaining key employees. The joint venture is launching an effort to help cities and counties discover new ways to collaborate in offering services through joint powers authorities, regional efforts, and it'll be interesting to see what ideas they come up with that we haven't already explored. But it was an interesting discussion to listen to, and I thank you for the opportunity of attending it.
Thank you. Any other council matters? That brings us to manager matters.
Yes. Mayor and Council, 3 items. First, this last week, our police department started its new victim services unit. It's 18 volunteers working with 5 team leaders under support and direction from Chief Seaman, Captain Elena Forrest, Sergeant Mike D'Antonio, and Community Service Officer Gwen Cross. This last week, they actually completed their training and started directly contacting victims of crime in Los Gatos and Montesreno and providing referrals and support to them to other agencies and organizations that can assist them in responding and dealing with the crimes they face. This program will grow over the weeks and months ahead, and we just wanted to alert you to its initiation, and so our community knows the continuing extraordinary service provided by the town. We also had a successful closure this past weekend where we installed our new emergency electric generator to power the Civic Center and the new library when it opens. So their dispatch remained operating. The Friends of the Library held their quarterly book sale in the lobby, but we were able to clear out the remaining equipment from Pageant Park to clear the path for that eventual remodeling as part of the library project. Last, I did want to highlight, as the mayor mentioned in his State of the Town speech, that on Monday, February 28th, we'll be having the next community input forum on the Los Gatos Creekside Sports Park. That will start at 6:30 p.m. at Fisher Middle School. And that concludes staff report. And now I would like to introduce this night's Did You Know, which is also appropriate given the State of the Town we just heard. Our Did You Know is going to be provided by a new partner to the town. His name is Miguel Gray. He previously served as Emergency Services Program Manager for Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Services and has just started directly serving Los Gatos and the other West Valley communities as well as the rest of the county as the Senior Emergency Services Coordinator for Santa Clara County Fire Department. Miguel, welcome to your first Los Gatos Council meeting, and it's great to have you as our new liaison and partner with Santa Clara County Fire.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Thank you, Mayor Brzezinski and council members. It's my pleasure to be here. I've been with County OES previous to this job for just about 8.5 years, and I've learned a lot over there. And the big, for me, the big excitement about working at this level is getting to see how things work at the local level at the town. So thank you for having me. I understand I have literally 90 seconds, and as a special guest, I understand from Chief Seaman, I'm actually going to get the red carpet, and I've got a full 2 minutes. So without further ado, I think that's brilliant. I think that's great. I'm going to briefly address personal emergency preparedness, the Regional Community Wildfire Protection Plan, as well as the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. There's certainly a lot more to what we do in emergency management, but for today, we'll just touch briefly on these three areas. So with regards to personal emergency preparedness, it's actually great timing because I heard the mayor refer to this new Safe at Home program as an adjunct to the Los Gatos Prepared program. And so basically moving forward, we will be supporting both personal emergency preparedness and CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. CERT is available for those that are able and willing to put in the time and help their community and neighbors. And personal emergency preparedness will be there for those that may not have that time available, but are certainly willing to learn how to take care of themselves and their families, which in of itself can be a great contribution in emergency response. The Regional Community Wildfire Protection Plan. We just applied for some grant money, County Fire did, on behalf of several of the West Valley cities, including the town of Los Gatos, Los Altos Hills, city of Cupertino, Saratoga, and Monte Sereno. And so we're standing by to get an update on that. Also, letters went out recently from County Fire, from the Fire Prevention Division, and there are some areas been identified in a very high fire hazard severity zone and other areas that are also in the wildland urban interface. So letters went out to those residences with regards to the annual mitigation efforts. With regards to local hazard mitigation, basically mitigation refers to, I'm not sure what your background is on mitigation, but essentially it deals with managing the consequences of disaster. So whether that's eliminating the consequence altogether or minimizing or somehow managing that consequence of disaster, that deals with mitigation. A mitigation project can range from actual construction to policy changes to all sorts of initiatives, as long as it's mitigating the threat. The town annex, I understand, will be located, if it is not already, at Los Gatos, ca.gov, and the county will be seeking public comment on that annex within the next few months. How are we doing on time? Okay. I'll share briefly with regards to the mitigation plan, some of the current projects that the county is collaborating on with the cities. Some of the strategy areas include communications with regards to public warning in a catastrophic dam failure scenario, as well as information sharing with the private sector with regards to where the critical infrastructure is, where the threats might be, and so on, as well as floods, wildland urban interface, and unreinforced masonry soft story structures. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions from council? Seeing none, we appreciate you coming on board. We hope that we're going to spend a lot of time together.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I would also just like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Sergeant Carrie Harris, Captain Elena Forrest, and Chief Scott Seaman, who also directly coordinate the town's response to emergency preparedness.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. All right, the next item is consent. There are a number of items on this part of the agenda that we can vote on in a single motion. I don't have any cards pulling any items from consent. Any council member wish to pull anything from consent? Seeing none, any member of the audience? Last chance. Okay. Seeing none, then can I have a motion? Yes. Councilmember McNutt was very interested in moving, but she didn't get the chance. So it's been moved by Councilwoman Spector. Any second?
I will second, but I also need to note that I need to abstain on item number 5 because I was not in attendance at that meeting.
All right, so we have one abstention on 5, duly noted. Any other comments? Can I hear all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. That brings us then to verbal communications. We have one card for verbal communications. It's Michael Calise. Michael, you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Michael Calise. I'm a resident of Los Gatos, 247 Needleland Avenue. Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. And by the way, Mr. Mayor, a wonderful, inspiring speech and great address. Thank you very much for that. The community really appreciates it. I'm here to just take a moment and in the spirit of community connectivity, give you a quick status update on electric vehicle charging stations within town-owned parking facilities. The last time I was here, 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that I would assist town management, town staff, and the council in a follow-up report within 1 week. It's been a long week, and you now have that report. That was emailed this morning to all of whom I just mentioned. It is a 50-page addendum with a significant amount of detail, which really covers the items that Council surfaced during its December 6th Council meeting, which were viable and consistent with what was required. And I hope that this addendum report will address those key issues to the community and the town's satisfaction. This past Friday, time was spent with Mr. Capurzo, myself, and a certified by the DOE, Department of Energy contractor, to survey various locations at no cost to the town, various locations within town-owned lots. And what was interesting was a number of those locations surfaced as being relatively inexpensive, and of course we'll determine what that means, but low cost and very convenient because they were situated next to metering and adequate power supply, which is a sort of key factor in keeping the costs low. So within the report, based on November 24th, the preliminary report was a whole host of different locations that could be considered. Many of them have been ruled out because of high cost, but the good news is a few of them, a good handful of them, have been considered very low cost and could be implemented within a relatively short time. So in closing, I urge the town management, staff, and council to wholeheartedly review the report on behalf of the community. And there's many supporters for this initiative, both from federal, state, and local level, that I'm in touch with that, frankly, I haven't brought in to go spend 3 minutes and talk about their support for this at this time until you get adequate information. So I urge that in the next council meetings, according to what was discussed in the December 6th meeting, that we can make to move a decision to agendize the acquisition of this DOE and CEC granted equipment and installation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calise. Any questions from council? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have no other cards. Does anyone else wish to present under verbal communications? Seeing none, then we're going to go to other business, and that is, as promised earlier, the fiscal year 2010-11 mid-year budget performance and status report. This is the 6 months ending December 31, and the presenter tonight will be our illustrious Director of Finance, Steve Conway.
Thank you, Mayor Pawzinski, members of council. Sorry, I'm getting my voice here. I'm glad to be here tonight once again to share with the council our latest update to the fiscal year 10-11 mid-year. I will try to make this as quick a presentation, as concise a presentation as I can, but I'm willing to slow down at any point and answer any questions council may have as I go along. And so in interest of that, I will briefly outline what I intend to speak about tonight. We're going to be giving you an update of how our budget, our financial plan for the current fiscal year is doing, our mid-year budget status, our fiscal year 2010-11 year-end projections, so how we think we'll be finishing up our fiscal year in terms of our financial health, our recommended budget adjustments that were detailed in the report. I'll discuss some of those, some bigger items, and then our looking ahead at our 5-year forecast along with our current plans for developing our fiscal year 11-12 budget. And I would like to also add that, Council, you do have a desk item where there were a couple of math errors in our review and finance of our packet, and we made a couple changes to the 5-year financial plan, and they were in years 4 and 5. There was a total that needed to be corrected. And, you know, when you rely on Excel too much sometimes in this modern world, it can catch you sometimes. But we did make that correction, and it's with Council. You have a desk item on that. So you have a revised 5-year that I would ask you to please refer to. In terms of where we're at in our revenues for this fiscal year, I'm very happy to announce that we have through January, period 7 of our fiscal year, a trend of sales taxes. Our actual receipts are exceeding our estimated amounts. We had a budget of $8,350,000 for the fiscal year, which was conservatively based on about a 3% growth from some of our major providers. And I wanted to share this slide with Council because it's a little difficult to explain in terms of the current payments we get from the state exactly how we are envisioning an increase, but the trend is that we do indeed expect an increase, and we are recommending a budget adjustment of $750,000 increase to our $8,350,000 original budget, which would bring our revised sales tax estimate for the year to $9 million. And what the chart you have here before you is a weighted average sales tax growth by category in terms of our sales tax providers, where we take the prior 4 quarters, which unfortunately we only have data ending September 30th, 2010. So we're always looking back 4 to 5 months in history. But this was in the past 4 quarters, September to September, giving us an idea of where the growth is occurring, at least through our September first quarter period of this fiscal year. And then I think we can extrapolate largely that trend is continuing. And you can see that on a weighted average basis, the internet commerce sector, which largely is, as everyone knows, Netflix, is doing very strong. It is exceeding our estimates. We had 3%, and they are exceeding that at a little over 5%. Also, general retail is also a strong category on a weighted average basis. And although I'm not at liberty to say what, an individual firm that represents, I can tell you that, we have seen some strong growth in consumer electronic type of industries. So that is very encouraging, and we expect that to continue. We also have an unexpected uptick in our new car dealership past 4 quarters ending September 30th. And the point of this slide was to say, and those 3 sectors, I believe, are what are leading to this growth in revenue that we didn't expect, and we're very encouraged by that, and we hope that trend will continue. The one down you can see is the supermarket, and we think that's largely due to the Safeway that's currently under reconstruction on the boulevard, so we've lost some of the sales out of that location. But then you can see the other categories are slightly positive, which is encouraging, because in many communities they're negative when we look statewide. We actually are holding our own in all the others. However, on a weighted average basis, they are very low and they don't account really for much of this growth. And the reason why that's important is as we recommend an increase in this revenue, we believe that looking at our other large revenue, which I don't have a slide for, which is property tax, at the council retreat we expected through December that we may have an uptick in our property tax, but through January we've determined through period 7 that it looks as if our Property tax collections are holding their own. They're slightly positive. We haven't recommended a budget change. They may be running $70,000 to $80,000 above estimate, but we're just very encouraged by that also, once again, for this community, because many of our communities in Santa Clara County are negative on property tax, and our property tax, as the mayor pointed out in his speech tonight, is remaining strong and stable, and we think trending slightly positive. So that's very encouraging in this in the current recessionary times that we're in. And why this is important on the sales tax, this slide, was that we had anticipated maybe property tax exceeding estimates. That may not appear to happen, but our sales tax should exceed our revenue revenue estimate or revenue adopted revenues. And we're recommending that, along as the council directed us, to take this excess revenue, and if you would look at your general fund projections, which accompanied your budget performance report, we show a $35,000 net result of a positive fund balance in the general fund, looking at all revenues and expenditures. And that is after setting aside $800,000 of this revenue to put on hold for the potential redevelopment loss that we are aware of. The governor has proposed that the redevelopment agency be eliminated in effective July of 2011. If that were to happen in the first year, we would have, our estimate is approximately $800,000 of one-time loss to the town in terms of revenues that support city services, town services. And so we are recommending that this excess revenue be set aside at year end specifically for that purpose until we know the results of the governor's initiative on eliminating redevelopment agencies.
And to clarify for those who may be watching along, on page 6 of the staff report is the 5-year financial plan, and the updated copies are with the council. If you look at the second column, it's about the 6th row from the bottom. You'll see the recommended set aside of $800,000 for the potential state take of redevelopment funds. That's where that shows up in the financials. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. As you can see, in order to set aside $700,000, there had to be other revenue. So if we go to the next slide, there were other increases beyond the sales tax we're recommending tonight. We have a $175,000 recommended increase in our licenses and permits. That's largely due to increased building permit revenues that have come in this fiscal year beyond our projections. Also, our franchise fees are going up by $75,000, largely from the garbage franchise. That's offset by some declines. Our investment earnings continue to be affected by the very low yields that we can obtain in the market right now. So we're recommending a decrease in that. And our $45,000 decrease is also recommended in our fines and forfeitures, which leaves us with a total recommended change of $855,000 in our general fund to the positive, which we are very pleased to report tonight. And that is the funding for that set aside that we would anticipate to be able to do at year end. And we may have expenditure savings on our expenditure budget, which would also add to that amount that we can set aside for redevelopment loss and potential other grant losses from the state as the state goes through its budget balancing machinations. So we think we're strong and ready to meet that challenge. I want to talk a little bit about our budget adjustments. We've recommended to council, these are 3 capital, there's some smaller operating ones that are of smaller nature, but we do have a number of key capital improvement projects that we wanted to get budget authorization for so the projects can move along in a timely manner. First being the Highway 9 Phase 3, that is $28,000 town contribution, largely a project administered and managed by the city of Saratoga, but we have this is our town share of funding, our contribution of that, and this is largely for much needed bicycle improvements safety improvements on Highway 9. We also have an energy efficient lighting project, which is a grant funded project that is also recommended. This is money that we're able to receive from a federal grant, so we would like to get that approved tonight. And we also are recommending the Lark University Charter Oaks traffic analysis, which is funded out of our traffic mitigation monies that we have received as a part of a development process. So those are three key capital projects that we will try to get approval tonight so we can move ahead on those. We have an update to our 5-year forecast that was done as part of the mid-year, and this chart shows that we do have we are not, as we've said, immune to our budget challenges. Next year in 11-12, we are dealing with a $2.1 million budget gap. You can see that the green line, the lower line, the bottom line is our revenues. The top line is a red line, which is our projected expenditures. And the orange line in the middle is if we make, we call this our ongoing shortfall mitigation. If we make ongoing service and service delivery adjustments over time to address the gap, we can apply that. We assume that those adjustments made are of ongoing nature, and that will help us at the end of year 5 in 2015-16 arrive at a balanced position between our revenue and our expenditures. And that is going to be a challenge over the next 5 years, but the town has met that challenge in the past, and I believe that the town will continue to do that. And we are all, as a management staff, aware that the solutions we find in our budget right sizing have to be of an ongoing nature. They can't be one-time solutions and gimmicks. They have to be real in order for us to manage that budget to the bottom line over time to get it where it needs to be. The 2011-12 budget is being developed with that in mind. As I mentioned, there was a forecasted $2.1 million gap. Council at the January retreat directed us that we have right now a current policy where we take half of our excess revenues and expenditure savings at the end of the fiscal year are committed to the revenue stabilization reserve, largely used to fund current services, and half to our infrastructure, our capital improvements reserve. We are recommending, as part of this next year's budget gap solution, that we suspend the deposit of approximately half, that one half devoted to the revenue stabilization to preserve services, but the other half, which is for our critical infrastructure needs, that half, approximately $800,000, would continue to be taken off the top of next year's budget and would be funded and added to the capital reserve. So we are proceeding along with that as one of our tools in solving our budget gap. If we are allowed to do that, then applying $800,000 to that gap, we would have $1.3 million remaining that we need to solve, and we are doing that right now. The departments have already been given targets and have responded back to the finance department with their recommended service level adjustments and other ideas, and some creative sharing of services along with revenue, some small revenue increases, and we think we're on target to meet our $1.3 million gap, and that will be brought forward for council's consideration in May, and we're working diligently on that. As we do that, we'll try to limit any service level impacts to our citizens, and try to avoid any drastic townwide reductions in services. What's new this year is, as we look, we have a financial policy that also says, in terms of our private development activity, that we recover costs to recover the cost of delivering service for private development activity. As our policy is to recover that cost, and we will keep that goal in mind. We have a new challenge with the passage of Prop 26, which our wonderful new town attorney is helping us navigate through as we bring the fee schedule forward as part of the budget. We don't think it's going to have a huge impact, but we are keeping that in mind, and we have to develop our new fee schedules with Prop 26 in mind. So looking at tonight, I would just ask, of course, that you do ask me any questions you have at this time. If there are no questions, then that tonight, or if we have questions, then afterwards, that we're asking tonight that the council accept our mid-year budget performance and status report, including our financial projections, and authorize the budget adjustments as recommended in our report and detailed in the reports that you have before you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Very succinct, as always. Questions from council? Councilmember McNutt.
Couldn't remember who I was there for a minute, huh? I missed one meeting, and I'm a nobody.
How quickly we forget, huh?
Yes. I have 3 questions, if I might, Mayor.
Please.
Thank you. A couple of these, most of these are just idle curiosity on my part. I was curious why the garbage franchise fees are going up, because I don't believe there's any change scheduled in the rate. So is it commercial or what?
We believe it is the commercial side, and it's just our month-to-month actual collections on the franchises. I know the rate hasn't increased. It's just in the volume. It's a volume, largely a volume-driven fee. So the more volume we have, and it's largely the residential volume doesn't change that much, so it is largely commercial.
So another good sign of
Yes.
economic recovery.
Yes.
More garbage.
Yes.
There was a franchise fee increase approved by the regional agency last spring, but that was already built into our budget assumptions. So what you've seen as growth is above and beyond the rate increase that was already assumed from a year ago, which complements the director's explanation.
Okay. My second question is on the energy efficient lighting project. We're getting a grant in to pay for that. Do we not need to make a budget adjustment on grant income in order to balance that out?
That's included in the,
Is there,
there's
okay,
a matching revenue.
So
Yes.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
All right. And then my more serious question is, I'm curious as to why we would want to set up a separate reserve account for the possible taking of the redevelopment funds as opposed to just putting it into economic uncertainty. What would be the advantage or disadvantage of going either way on that?
Well, I guess our thought was in establishing that year-end reserve for that specific item was that otherwise, we need to demonstrate as part of our financial planning that we are looking down the road, we're seeing a potential impact that's very real, and we are taking the money. If you would look at your, I would recommend looking at page 11 of the budget performance report. When finance does its projections, and it would be in the middle of that, on page 11, on the middle of that schedule of the general fund operating revenues and expenditures. As we look at our projections for the fiscal year, it's the farthest right column, the fiscal year 10-11 projection. You can see that we have a projected revenue of $33,526,000. And you will notice in the middle section there is a negative $825,000 that we have set aside out of that revenue. And basically what we have done by that action is specifically planned for it, set it aside so that it is not part of our year-end 50-50 split. If, for example, the state decides that there is a new approach about redevelopment, we will reverse that out, and that money will all be available to be split between capital infrastructure and revenue stabilization. But we just wanted to earmark that so that it would be set aside in our planning so we wouldn't lose sight of it. That was our main reason, so that we would.
And if I might add, the council retains full discretion over those funds. It's really a planning exercise to demonstrate that we are preparing for that potential worst-case hit from the state, as we discussed at the retreat.
And I could add one more thing to that. If we didn't have that set aside, then the bottom line, as you look on your far right column, would reflect around a $900,000 revenue above expenditure, which is really not our case that we wanted to have the public see, that we would present a picture a little more favorably than our actual experience is. So we really need to build that in so that we portray a more realistic picture of where we stand. So that was the intention.
That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? I do have a general question, Mr. Conway, and it comes back every year. 35% of our sales tax revenue is from a single source, and we are very happy that that is the case. But it's also very troubling that it is we're so dependent on that one source. And I would ask that in the course of the year we add to our discussion alternatives that we might pursue. I know we're always thinking about it, but in some concrete way to take a look more rigorously at what we can what we can do to recruit an alternative or a supplement to that single source. Always keeping in mind that we want to make sure that source stays within our boundaries, but we know that your own projections that over a period of time that financial will decrease because of the increase in streaming that is projected. And so it's inevitable we're going to have to make a change. I guess my thought is we should have that discussion. We should put this on for some opportunity for the council and staff to sit together and to actually dialogue about what are alternatives that could occur in this regard. The other, of course, is the ongoing issue of our ability to have some dedicated source of funding for capital improvements, particularly roads. And that we always come back to that. It was in this report as well. We keep reminding ourselves of this, but we never have really taken the opportunity to sit down and say, okay, realistically, what can we do? I would say there are an awful lot of cities in Santa Clara County, maybe 14 others, that would wish they were in our situation right now. And it's always good to feel like we're in a really good place. And I think we can do nothing but appreciate what the staff has done, particularly the finance office and the manager, to keep us solvent and actually better than solvent. But we need to start having those discussions in a more concrete way to take a look at both of those issues. Just a recommendation. Okay.
I think they're excellent recommendations, Mayor.
Okay. Other comments? Well, we have two actions that are going to be put up on the board, I believe. Yeah.
On the first page of your staff.
Yeah. Then let's just go right to that. The first is to accept the mid-year budget performance and status report. This should require a motion. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'm going to say that the Vice Mayor moved, and I'm going to give this to Councilwoman McNutt, since she was aced out by Councilwoman Spector in the previous. So it's been moved and seconded to accept the mid-year budget report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Now we have a series of budget adjustments that need to be made, and those were on attachment 1. Any questions about the adjustments before we call for a motion? Would someone like to make the motion to authorize the budget adjustments as recommended in the attached mid-year second quarter budget performance report on attachment 1?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
And seconded. All right. Councilwoman McNutt moved and Councilwoman Spector seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. And I believe we are adjourned.